Howdy and welcome to our third webinar of the fall season. We are going to cover the Master of International Affairs and their collaborative degrees, and we will cover this in a format that's going to go over a set agenda. This is going to be interactive if we can. If you've got chat questions, be sure to drop those into the chat function and we'll cover those as we go along in the webinar. We've got several of us attending this today, and one of them is going to be myself. I work with admissions and recruitment. I'm Catherine Meyer. I have joining us later Matt Upton in Career and Student Services, and then Stockton Duval and Tatiana Rocabato. Sorry if I butchered that, it's Tatiana. And they're going to join us at the end and answer questions about the MIA and the experiences they've had through the program and through perhaps their study abroad, language, internship, those kind of opportunities. So the agenda we have covering here is I'm going to go over a couple of different options related to the MIA degree. We're going to cover the academic portions, including the tracks and concentrations, the capstone projects, some of the student resources we have here that support that program, the employment focus with the international affairs students, the application process, the cost of the program and the aid that we provide for those MIA students. And then again, those students will come in with their student perspective. So again, let's drop us some of those chat questions as we move along. So this one slide is going to cover the overall, what the Bush School looks like. So we are an undergrad now and a graduate school here at Texas A&M University. We consist of both the Department of International Affairs, the Department of Public Service Administration, and the Political Science Department now, who has both undergraduate and PhD programs. Within the Bush School master's degrees with the International Affairs and the Public Service, we offer 5 different College Station degrees on our campus. There's also one more online executive degree. That's our Executive Master of Public Service and Administration. So it can be completed online. And there are 6 graduate certificates. Those are offered in a combination of online or on campus and can either work independently or in conjunction with your MIA or MPSA degrees. We also now have a DC location, and we offer 2 degrees there and a graduate certificate. I'm going to cover just briefly what they are, but that information will be covered tomorrow in a webinar with the MIP and the DC locations. Essentially, we're preparing for our students for a number of different careers, largely related to public service, but they can be covering a number of different sectors, including the federal government, state and local levels, nonprofits, international NGOs, some of them private and government contracting, maybe working with those federal agencies, think tanks, and so many more, school districts. There's all kinds of options for students to pursue. The Master of International Affairs specifically, this is a 2-year, 48 credit hour degree. So most students come in the fall and start with 12 hours, then spring 12 hours, a summer internship, and then 12 to finish up the degree. But the beauty of a degree like this is there's a lot of flexibility in how you create those tracks and concentrations to build a degree that's relevant to your interest and your career path. So you're going to receive faculty and career staff advising the entire time you're here. You're also going to get an opportunity for a summer internship, or if you choose, a language immersion, particularly for those that are working on their foreign language component and they're a little behind in that practice and they feel like maybe going abroad and being immersed in that culture and that language will help them come past their test when they get back. So again, there's this foreign language test that you have to have in order to graduate. So you can get through all 16 classes, and if you don't pass that foreign language exam, then you don't get your degree. So it's highly important for students to be working on whatever language they choose. There's also this flexibility that you could take a couple of classes online through your electives. Just remember that there is an additional cost of $1,500 per class to do that. It only applies to the electives. And some students are already maybe starting a certificate ahead of time because maybe they graduate in December and they can use their spring and summer to take a couple of courses and just keep them busy. And so up to 12 credit hours can count for a related Bush School certificate, which we'll talk about shortly. One of the aspects of our international affairs degree, unique to Texas A&M students who are undergrads here, is we have a couple of 5-year joint degrees. We also call them 3+2 programs. These are combined with the international studies undergrad and the economics undergrad. Uniquely for international studies, you need to be in the diplomacy track in order to combine this. But those TMU majors are working with their undergrad advisors from the moment that they start here, whether that be as a freshman or as a transfer student, and let those advisors know that they're on their radar is to start this 3+2 program so they can ensure that they're on track, the timing of the courses are happening in the right order, and that they're done before enrollment time with us, because there's no time to go back and make up courses. There is a minimum GPA required. It's a 3.25 for economics, and it's a 3.5 for international studies. Though 3.5 is a little bit higher for international studies, largely because our average GPA for this program is about that mark. So we want to make sure if we're bringing in younger students that they are hitting at our average. These students are applying as a junior around the 70 to 80 hour mark, and they enroll roughly at 102 hours with us. Some might have a few more hours than that, but by and large, if you get too far along, you're not saving the cost on your time in the courses. So again, just work with the undergrad advisors for that. The benefit is that you are counting 18 credit hours of our coursework, the Bush School International Affairs coursework, towards your undergrad credit. So you're paying undergrad costs, you're saving money because you're not paying our fees, and you're paying for fewer classes for undergrad. And you don't have to pay the application fee because you will apply with an internal application. And you're saving money because you're earning both your bachelor's and your master's in that 5 years. Or for some, it's 2 years, undergrad, and 2 years for grad school. So it's a 4-year degree. So it all just depends on how many courses you're bringing in for AP credit, working with that undergrad advisor, making sure that this works for you. And I will say, typically we're enrolling about half a dozen. So between 3 to 6 students each fall from these 2 departments through the 3+2. We have many more who are coming in from other departments, maybe even these 2 who are not part of the 3+2 program, and that works fine too. We just keep this program very select because they are younger and may not have had a chance to do their study abroad in language. So we want to make sure that they are utilizing all those resources at Texas A&M before they get here. We also now have 2 combined degrees. The first one was created with a Master of Public Health. So this is a 3-year, 78 total credit hours between combining the 2 degrees. It's a 1.5 years with Master of Public Health, a 1.5 years with our MIA. You do have to apply to both programs. You will have to be accepted to both. There is the opportunity that you might be accepted to one and not the other, but we would let you know that. When you're in this program with public health, you're focusing on one of their 2 options, either health policy and management or health promotion and community health sciences. And then that's your choice on starting with them. And you're receiving their funding during this time, if they have any available. It changes when you come to the MIA a 1.5 years in. And so at that time, our scholarship will apply, and you'll know what that is because we tell you that in the offer letter. You are also having to work with both a capstone course and an internship in one of the 2 programs. So there's an MPH summer practicum course with an international topic that can meet our requirement. So again, working with your advisors, they'll help you kind of structure this degree plan and make sure that you're getting out in that 3 years. So 1.5 years with them, 1.5 years with us. One that we are just now under construction, putting this together right now, is a Master of Science in Economics with our Master of International Affairs. So another 3-year degree. I'm still working on the hours, but it sounds like it's going to be about 66 total credit hours for the 2 degrees because we're counting a number of different hours between the 2 programs that can supplement the other. So typically this would be an 84 credit hours, but we're double counting, and so you're saving some time. You do apply to both departments, same as what we discussed with the public health. You're spending a year and a half with econ, a year and a half with us, and then you switch, or vice versa. So you can apply and start with either program. You are going to need to complete at least one capstone course and one internship. So again, we'll work with you through that to make sure which one is counting for what. And then same as before, your Bush School funding only applies when you're carrying the MIA full load. There is another degree that I'm going to talk about more tomorrow, but this is an executive level MIP degree. I'm just mentioning it because it is a mirror of the MIA in the fact that you're taking the tracks and possibly some concentration, but it's a shortened version of it. So this is a 1 year, 30 credit hour degree. But the requirement is 4 years of professional international experience. So they're wanting those that might be in the military, those who have lived abroad, who have worked with some kind of institutions that are agencies that have had an international focus, and then coming in and really speeding up the program so they can get back to that professional experience. We do accept applications for fall, spring, and summer. We can take up to 6 hours of online courses. So a student might come in the fall and the spring and then spend their summer online. But there is no internship, no capstone, no foreign language, and there's no Bush School scholarships for this. So we do accept military benefits. You can qualify for financial aid through federal aid, but you're not going to get a lot of the additional funding and aspects that maybe our MIA students get, because you're here for a shorter time. So if you're interested in learning more about this and those degrees that we're offering at the Washington, D.C. site, be sure to tune in tomorrow. We'll do a webinar specifically for them at noon. The graduate certificates that I'd spoken about earlier, sometimes people will come in with some hours from these. These start each fall, spring, and summer, and it only takes 4 to 5 classes to earn one of these certificates. So sometimes our students will enroll early in them, maybe a year ahead, a couple of months ahead, and spend maybe that spring and summer taking a couple of classes. And as long as you get a B or better and you're admitted to the full-time program, then those courses will be double counted towards your MIA curriculum. So if someone comes in with 4 courses, they've already earned, let's say, the certificate Advanced International Affairs, then they can shave a semester's off of coursework and graduate a semester early. So they will allow for December graduation. Not a lot of students go this path for a lot of reasons. Some of it is cost, but it's also a time issue of trying to get some of these courses in. But even if you just start with 6 hours, those 6 hours can then count towards, and maybe 2 semesters of classes, you're still a full-time student, but you just don't have an additional course. So maybe you're working more hours or have more time for that job search. So there's always benefit in looking to this if this sounds intriguing. Particular, if you're a Texas A&M senior, you can enroll in these in your senior year at A&M. There's a couple of requirements for that, but you can reach out to the online email address that we'll post in a little while, and you can talk to them about your situation. 2 of the most common that I'll see with the international affairs is that Certificate Advanced International Affairs and the Homeland Security. Less so with nonprofit and public management, but it can be done. And then our 2 newest were the Certificate in Geospatial Intelligence and the Certificate in Cybersecurity Policy. Just note that cybersecurity is an on-campus only option, and you will work with your Office of Extended Education to coordinate these. And remember, you can develop a focus in these areas. So for instance, CAIA does have a counterterrorism and intelligence, all kinds of different areas you can focus on, just like you could into the master's degree. So we're going to focus the next few slides on the academic section of the MIA. So the Master of International Affairs and the combined degrees, they all share these focus areas. So we have 2 tracks. They are required. You're going to need to do one or the other, or some kind of combination if you want, if you choose to do that. But we've got international development and economic policy, and we have national security and diplomacy. When you declare your track, you then have to fulfill at least one of two required concentrations one has to match your track. So if you'll see in red, I have national security and diplomacy. Those first 6 concentrations listed are red. Those are tied to that. The next 4 are in brown, the conflict and development, methods, pandemic, and women, peace, and security. Those are cross-listed. Those can work for either national security and diplomacy or the international development. If we have a student who's coming in for the IDEP, that international development track, they're going to need to choose one of those 3 that are in green or one of the 4 that are in brown to fulfill that concentration. And it takes 3 classes to fulfill that concentration. There's also some independent concentrations of regions. We focus on Middle East, Latin America, China, and Europe. So let's say a student comes in and really wants to study intelligence. They will choose the national security and diplomacy, most likely, as their track. Then they're going to focus one concentration on intelligence as an instrument of statecraft. And then their second one can be any that you see listed there. Sometimes students will even choose a track that is in the Master of Public Service, or they'll create one of their own. It's not as common in the international affairs as it is for public service, because there's just already so many related choices that people find their areas, but it is possible. When you're finding some creativity and going, I really want to focus on, let's say, nuclear non-proliferation. We don't necessarily have that as a focus anymore. We did for a little while, but you can create your own. And there are a number of different departments that work with our curriculum. It is just a matter of working with your advisor and getting permission from faculty from those departments to get you into those classes. So you're going to see any number of different departments we work with, and they're even listed on our curriculum already. So occasionally you're going to see a GEOG for geography, and those classes that are actually integrated into our curriculum, it's a geography class, but you have that freedom to take those and intermingle them in with your INTA classes. So I've got a number of them listed here. I'll just say some of the more common ones I've seen have been the public health, nuclear engineering, maybe sociology, that ag leadership, education and communications, and management information systems, the MIS in particular for those that are doing cyber. So just a lot of different options here for you to choose from and tailor your degree to your liking. This is what the curriculum looks like. There are only 4 core courses, and then you'll have a track required course, and the rest of your curriculum is electives. So you are picking and choosing what's of interest to you. You will need to start with a quantitative methods 1 course. So we do like for students to have some kind of basic foundation in a statistics or a micro and macro econ, research methods, something that gives them some familiarity with those terms and using some of the software that they might use. And then after that, it's pretty much wide open. We bring all kinds of majors into this program. You are going to have support with the faculty, support with your colleagues. And then again, you're really developing a lot of the specialty of what's of interest to you. So you're going to enjoy the readings that you're given. You're going to enjoy the presentations you're doing because they're of interest to you. And you're also going to be hearing from speakers who are coming in, which we'll talk about shortly. I did mention in the summer, you have a required internship. It says international internship. Many of them aren't. I need to fix that. It is just an internship. Many are in the federal government here in Washington, D.C. Some are locally if they're trying to do international NGOs or other type of emphasis areas. Or you have a choice of a language and cultural study. And in that case, you might go abroad and work on your Chinese and the Mandarin. You might work on your French. So we have a number of different organizations and institutions that we've worked with in the past, and you can arrange that, or you can do the internship opportunity, which you'll be working with our career services office. We'll talk about that later too. There is a semester 3. You're now in your fall semester, starting your 2nd year, completely all electives. Or there are some students who choose to do a study abroad, which I have a slide in a few minutes. We do have some reciprocal exchange agreements. Not all of those are still in place. The pandemic kind of messed with those a little bit, but there are some opportunities, particularly for those that are trying to work on language and take some classes. But for the most part, most of our students stay here and do the typical 4 electives just because it's so interesting to them. By the time you hit your final semester, you will have a capstone seminar, which we'll cover in the next couple of slides. So we'll come back to that one. But that's a semester-long consulting project you're doing with your fellow classmates. If someone is doing a joint program, one of our curriculum where we're sharing you with another department, this is just a sample of what an MIA MPH looks like. So those students have to start with public health. I've just pulled as a sample the health policy and management, but you can see in the fall, in the spring, summer, and fall, that first year and a half, those classes are in orange because that is what they're taking through public health. So remember, that first year and a half, you're coordinating with their advisors, their funding, their coursework. But in the spring of your second year, you're now coordinating with us as the Bush School. And so you'll have some courses, you're starting to take your electives, and then you'll coordinate our funding at that point will kick in. So just realize there is another INTA internship or language immersion you'll have to complete for us. And then of course the courses just keep kicking in with whatever your track or your electives combined. That capstone that I mentioned in your final semester, students are choosing from a list of 8 to 10 capstone options. So the faculty are going to come to you and tell you, here's what we're offering in the spring. And there might be 1 or 2 options in the fall if someone's off cycle, but the most of them are offered for spring. You're going to get a presentation of what those projects are, who the client is, what the gist of the work is, and then you're going to rank order your choices, and then you'll be assigned a group. There's typically 5 to 8 students in that. The leadership and writing staff are going to work with those capstone groups just to make sure that they're on track. They understand what kind of presentation or the writing aspect of this should look like, how they need to work together as a group. And then remember, these clients, which I list next, these are mirroring some of the same employment sectors that we will work with. So state and local agencies, nonprofits, federal, private. This is actually what we just completed in the spring. I said 21, I guess this was the year before. Either way, from year to year, a lot of the same clients with maybe just a change on the title of this. China Expansionist Designs with our client was Stratfor. You're going to see the client was Atlantic Council. You've got US CENTCOM, you've got USAID out of the Mexico City office, the RAND Corporation, Department of State. It's just a robust list that you get a choice in choosing which one you want to be part of. There's more of this found online if you look under the international affairs or the academic section and go to capstones, and it just gives a little bit more gist of what some of this looked like, including past years. As far as the student resources, and I went too fast, I'm going to pass this on to my colleague, Matt Upton. Matt is our Associate Dean. I think I said that right. Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe Assistant Dean. Either way, he'll introduce himself and he will tell you about some of the resources that we work with our students through both Student Services and Career Services Office.
Thanks, Catherine, and thanks for the promotion. No, I'm just an assistant. So, okay. We have fun with that. I'll make sure I tell my boss. Well, thanks for letting me join you all today. Really excited to talk about our programs. Have the privilege of working with Catherine and her team in recruiting and admissions. And so want to share just some of the resources that we have. One of the unique programs that we have at the Bush School is our Public Service Leadership Program. This is a program that is led by Holly Kasperbauer, who's the Assistant Director for this program. Holly has years of experience in leadership development, has a graduate degree in leadership education as well, was an educator before that in public schools, and continues to take that into the work with our graduate students. But our leadership program is really a unique opportunity to be involved in learning about yourself, self-awareness, and what that looks like through self-assessments like StrengthsFinder and Myers-Briggs type indicator, And then taking that information about yourself and applying it to working groups that you're going to be a part of. Catherine just shared with you information about our capstone project. That's the culmination of the work that you're doing in our graduate program. But even in your first year, you're going to work on teams, and you're going to continue to work on teams as you go throughout your career. So it's really a great opportunity to step back in your graduate program and really learn about yourself, and then learn about how that interacts with other people that you're working for and working with. And so we use that information to help you navigate that process in graduate school and beyond. We also talk to you about what that looks like in developing leadership skills for your future career through your internship, through your volunteer experiences, and all of those types of things. So it's really a unique opportunity to do some work in that area and learn about yourself and learn about working with others and leading other people. In addition to what Holly does in the leadership program, we have a writing program. We have a director of the writing program, Cindy Razor, and then a writing consultant, Brenda Kent. And they work with students. They're not going to edit your papers for you. They're not going to tell you how to write or what to write, but they are going to give you instruction on how to effectively communicate in written format. And they do that through workshops. I know Ms. Kent is hosting a workshop today based off of the Foreign Service Officer training program for writing. And so she's using the skills and the abilities and kind of the techniques they use in the US State Department to help you make sure that you're writing effectively. We also use things like an e-portfolio or e-reflections that allow you to step back and look at what you're learning and how you're going to apply this knowledge, skill, and ability set that you're learning in your graduate programs to the work that you're doing. Internship debriefing reports you'll find through your classes with people like Ambassador Larry Napper and others that briefing skills are really important, both oral briefing skills and written briefing skills. How do I take a lot of information and condense it down into just a page or two so that the people that you're sharing that information with have the most relevant information and don't have to spend hours poring over documents? And then in our international affairs program, because you have that language requirement and must pass an oral language exam, we offer a number of resources for that. We have free Rosetta Stone online training that you can be a part of and access that in any language that you need to. We have practice groups and tutoring led by either native speakers or proficient speakers, people that are fluent in the languages. And so you'll see that's actually a picture of one of our students, Kyle, several years ago when he was working on his Korean language experience so that he could pass his language exam. And so we do put some resources towards that. You can also take your summer to do a language immersion. And so we'll talk about some of the internship and language immersion options that are available to you as a student. In addition to the writing, the leadership development, and the language skills, we also have a number of speakers and conferences that you'll have the opportunity to participate in. We had a number of them here last week for the 25th anniversary, participating in a series called The 41 I Knew. So people that worked with President Bush throughout a variety of places. We had his former military advisor who was here and spoke to us about the work that he got to do with President Bush as his military advisor. So a number of different things through our research institutes and research centers. Some of them are listed here: Pandemic Policy Initiative, Women, Peace and Security, and some of those things. And then we also have the opportunity for international travel. And those are also a part of sometimes what the academic departments do, or sometimes what some of the research centers and institutes do. And that's what Catherine was getting to here. So Catherine, if you go to the next slide. These are some of the research centers and institutes that are a part of the Bush School: Skillcroft Institute for International Affairs and the Albritton Center for Grand Strategy, Mosbacher Institute for Trade, Economics and Public Policy, and then the European Union Center. So those are all research institutes that do work in the area of international affairs. And then also you have our programs, the Women, Peace and Security program headed up by Dr. Valerie Hudson, Intelligence Studies, Middle East, Cyber Policy, Strategy and Security, and Economic Statecraft. So those are all places that you can participate in. They do offer some help with internship funding and internship opportunities. And so then that leads into this next slide here. Obviously, most people don't go to graduate school just for the fun of it. Most of you are looking to actually come to graduate school to advance your career, or maybe make a career shift, or maybe make a change in the direction that you were taking your career in. You can see in the International Affairs program, the top 2 employment sectors for us are the federal government, typically year over year, the federal government, and then government contractors. Usually those are federal government contractors. Occasionally there will be a mix of maybe state and local government contractors, but for the International Affairs program, most of those government contractors are federal contractors. So you can see you're looking at 40+% of our graduates each year go into the federal government space, typically for the US federal government, although we do have some students, international students, who will go back to their home country and work in their federal government. Private sector is another area. These are people, for a number of years, we had people going into the transfer pricing arena. It was a specific area that some of our international development and economic policy students would go into. Fewer and fewer are going into that, but we'll see if that continues to be an area that our students go into. Nonprofit or NGO organizations are other places that our students go. And then a little bit into state and local government or continuing education. Continuing education is usually in the form of either a law degree or a PhD, but again, you see very small percentages. And then that other category is for those individuals who are maybe returning to a previous career field and choose not to pursue a career in international affairs right away. You want to have an idea of the types of employers. You could pick probably almost any 3-letter intelligence or national security agency and find one of our former students working in any number of those. CIA, FBI, no, Defense Intelligence Agency is here tomorrow for an information session about both jobs and internships. We've had people go to work for NSA. We've had people go to work for the Geospatial Intelligence Agency, military intelligence operations. So you can see a number of those. National laboratories, both the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, Sandia, Los Alamos, US Cyber Command, I already mentioned Defense Intelligence Agency, Customs and Immigration. Some people go to work on Capitol Hill, either in the Congress, either in the House of Representatives or the Senate. State Department, Department of Defense, FEMA, Government Accountability Office, again, a number of agencies. USAID, for those of you interested in international development work, a number of our graduates have gone to work for them, or contractors like Chemonics International, Banyan Risk Group, Deloitte Cybersecurity, Cyber Strategy there. And so you'll see a number of those. Private sector, here just a random sampling of those. We are seeing more and more private sector opportunities in that cyber and in business intelligence arena. I know we've got former students working at, like it says here, MasterCard, Meta, Google. I don't believe we have anybody at Apple right now. We have some former students at BP down in Houston. Houston's a big oil and gas area. We've got former students working for Chevron, ConocoPhillips, BP, some in the cyber area and some in the business intelligence arena as well. State and local government, you can see both here in the state of Texas. Texas Department of Public Safety has a pretty strong intelligence division. Florida Division of Emergency Management, Harris County Sheriff's Office, and you see some of those other states that are listed there as well. And then nonprofit organizations, anything from UNDP to UNICEF in Ghana, to the Jamestown Foundation. So it just gives you a sampling of both jobs and internships. So I'll turn it back over to Catherine. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me for any job or internship opportunities. We also meet individually with students and work with you on your career, providing career advice to you, working with your resume and those types of things.
Thank you, Matt. And to remember, if you got a question for Matt, just drop it in the chat. He'll stay on here for a few more minutes and then he'll head out. I'm going to start covering now the application requirements, what we're looking for, and then the funding. And then I'll pass it on to our students to talk for the last few minutes. So the MIA application requirements, this is all found on the website. Don't forget, you can also email us if you've got questions about the process. But we are collecting a GradCast application, with the exception of those combined degrees and the continuing grad students here at A&M, the 5 years, they all have internal or alternate applications. But for the most part, most people are GradCasts. The link is on our website. You have an application fee. There are unofficial transcripts that we will collect from you. We'll get those officials later when you decide to enroll with us. So keep it simple at the beginning, just upload those unofficial ones. We will need 3 letters of recommendation. Typically on that, we typically want to focus more on those that are academic related because faculty tend to gravitate towards those. But obviously this is playing to your strengths. So if that's 2 professional, 1 academic, submit what you need to do. We're also collecting a professional resume. It can be 1 to 2 pages, statement of purpose, an international experience essay. Those will differ a little bit in how they're approached. Statement of purpose, a little bit about who you are, where you're going, what you're interested in. The international experience essay is really focused on your language, your travel, the cultural experiences. It may echo some of what you put in your statement, but it really is a separate document. We're just trying to gauge what students are bringing to the table through that opportunities they've had in their past. The GRE test, it is only required here through the MIA program if you have below a 3.2, whether that's in a bachelor's degree or in a master's degree, it doesn't matter, either one can count, but it is whatever your graduating institution GPA is. So keep in mind, for example, here at Texas A&M, if someone were to transfer in community college hours, that is not part of their GPA on their Texas A&M transcript. So you have to ensure that that 3.2 stays above on your graduating institution. You're encouraged also, if you are a good test taker or you think by studying and preparing for it, that you can offset some of your lack of experiences or your poor GPA, then in that case, you may want to take this. I've got the average listed on a stat sheet in just a few minutes, I'll show you. But for the most part, most students don't submit unless they have to, or it plays to their strengths. We can talk to you about that through advising if you reach out to either Ashley or myself, and we'll tell you what we think might be a good option for you. And then if you're an international student, the English proficiency test is possible for you, or you'll need to meet that proficiency in some way. If you are applying to one of the combined application requirements, it's very similar. It's just the fact that you've got an MIA internal application that you're doing for us. And if you're applying to public health, you're doing the SOFIS application and their fee, or you'll do the GradCast app and fee for econ. And then we're the secondary in that case. So you don't have to pay for 2 different applications. Still need the unofficial transcript, still need 3 letters of recommendation. We can use the other department's recs, or if you're wanting to focus on something more international affairs related for us, you can submit 3 different ones and you would just email those to us. Still need the resume, still need the statement, still need the international experience. We do require that 3.2 GPA or above, or yes, you are still required for that GRE test. And then same thing with those English proficiency test scores. You might be needed if you are not a domestic student. As far as the timeline goes for this process, I've already opened the applications. They always open the first part of August. Then we will encourage what we call a priority deadline in December 15th, the middle of that month. This allows us time through December and early January to process applications and get them ready for the faculty reviews. So you're better off if you can hit that early deadline. It also ensures that any funding recommendations that we are having for other entities here at College Station. So for instance, there's a couple of different scholarships that we can make nominations with faculty recommendations. And if we don't have those early, then you're going to miss those deadlines in February when we have to gather up several pieces for them. So January 11th is your hard deadline. We may or may not extend that. I wouldn't count on it. I would make sure that you're hitting one of those 2 deadlines, because we're going to then send in January invitations to interview, which is a required part of our application process. And we'll interview people through the month of February. So those conducting those interviews. The interview conference weekend for the MIA is February 24th and 25th. That's a Friday, Saturday. We highly encourage people to come attend those dates because we'd like you to visit with us in person, get a feel for the campus, see if this is a fit for you, get to know your fellow classmates, the second years who are first years when they're interacting with you, who will be the leaders for your group when you come in. It really says a lot for being able to find those housing roommates for the future, comfort level. Does the faculty interactions excite you? Doing them in person is really helpful. However, if people cannot make it that weekend, then we do have Zoom options. We will then coordinate 2 interviews via Zoom with either 2 faculty or a faculty and staff member. I'm back up just for a second. Remember, February 1st are the deadlines for those combined programs. We have to move them back a little bit because those departments have later dates than we do. So either way, we'll work with you through those deadlines. In early March, we will then give admissions decisions. And with that offer letter would also come any financial aid that comes with it. So if you are coming in with the Master of International Affairs, you will receive some level of scholarship. And if you're from out of state, that non-resident tuition waiver, which I'll cover in just a minute. You have until April 15th to respond. And then through April and May and through the summer, we're setting up the Facebook class page so that you connect with your fellow classmates. This includes those in the public service and administration, the MIP program, all of them. And you can also potentially find some roommates and get updates about what tailgates are about and A&M traditions and good places to live and recommendations. So very helpful in getting to know your fellow bushies, as we sometimes call them. But all this information is on the admissions part of the website. Just go to admissions degree section. If you're curious, what did the class look like for this incoming class in 2024? I'm just going to focus on the MIA section, but you can see the MIP is much smaller. The MIA had 85 students. The MPH were starting 3 in the spring. That average GPA was a 3.56. The GRE is higher than it typically is because so few people have to submit them. But it is a 310 average. In the past, it's been closer to a 306, 308. Average agency is a little bit young. It's been up to 24, 25 most times. This year, it's actually 23. So a little bit younger group. Women constitute 42% of that. Students of color is 35%. So we went up. I think we were at 20-something% last year. We are at international at only 6%. We're still having a little bit of trouble getting some of those visas for the students who are coming in from overseas. And then non-residents was only 34%. Now, typically, this would be reversed, where we have a lot more non-residents, closer in that 50 to 60%. But this year for both programs was highly Texan. Maybe it's still coming off the pandemic, I'm not sure. Average work experience, just keep in mind, a lot of our students do come straight in from undergrad, 0 to 2 years. That constitutes 59% of this class. Those with 2 to 5 years was 25%, and those with more than 5 years was 16%. When you're coming in, you're in a class size of about 16 overall. Most of our classes max out at 20. So they're really going to get to know you and do a lot of interactions. And keep in mind, those professors you're learning from are both practitioners and academics. So it's a good mix of both. My last part of this is talking about the cost and aid. So 100% of our incoming full-time students, so you got to be full-time, that's 9 hours or more. Our students typically do 12 hours. You're going to receive some level of scholarship. It starts at $1,000. It goes up all the way up to around $29,000 per year. Now, remember, if you're a combined student, you only receive money when you're enrolled with us full-time. That breakout of that funding for fall of 22, so this year's incoming class, 39% of those students were awarded between $1,000 and $3,000. Most of those are at the $3,000 level. Very few get $1,000. 5 to 7 was 42%. Those that got $10,000 were at 9%. And those that received that, let's see, that's $15,000, $29,000, those were the 10% of students. So more than that are given out, but this is those that accepted and actually enrolled. Several of those include the Robertson Awards, which you can find more information about those under our scholarship section of our website. And then a few of those are people who are coming in from Peace Corps who choose to be called Coverdell Fellows. And I coordinate communication directly with those students. The graduate assistantship, sometimes you'll hear about, ask about those and find out about for funding. We only have them available in year 2 for our students. That is a way for our students to increase their funding in their second year. And then we also do have internship scholarships available for those that receive an internship with no funding. But to qualify for that, you will need to attend all the workshops that Career Services is offering during the fall. So we're a cost best value education. Instead of an out-of-state student paying around that $26,000, $27,000, they're really paying closer to $13,500 because with the scholarship, we're able to issue those non-resident waivers, which saves them money. And then they will then apply their scholarship to that. So if they can get a $10,000 scholarship, then they may be out of pocket less than $4,000. So it really is a cost-effective option for most of our students. Cost of living is about $21,000. If you're curious about the cost for the combined programs, just you work with public health and economics and get their portion. They have different kinds of fees and program costs. So sometimes it can be more expensive than ours. All right, so having now talked through all of that, I'm going to pass this on to Stockton and Tatiana and let them talk a little bit about their opportunities for involvement, especially with Stockton to start it off, and then we'll go into some questions on the next slide. So Stockton, all yours.
Of course. Thanks, Catherine. Howdy, y'all. My name is Stockton. I'm a second-year national security and diplomacy student. I'm on the IA side. Real quickly, before I kind of go into my experience at the Bush School, I just wanted to hit on a few areas for involvement here. We have the Public Service Organization, which helps set up service events throughout the Bush School, along with a lot of them are involved with Bush Board Fellows, which is basically where our students, whether you're IA or SA, can actually sit on a nonprofit's board as a non-voting member, and then you get to kind of be involved with them at the administration level on those organizations. So really cool opportunity. Next up, we have student government, which of course has a lot of areas under it. And so basically, you have DEI efforts, lots of tailgating going on here in Aggieland. And then we have, athletics are under that. So a lot of different intramurals and different groups there. Foreign Language and Cultural Society. So basically they help set up the language groups and cultural activities at the school. As has been mentioned, we do a very good job of getting somebody in to speak just about any language you want to know, even if it's a pretty niche language. We have those language groups to help you out with that. Ambassadors Council, which I help organize. Basically, this organization is dedicated to preserving the legacy of President George H.W. Bush. And then we also assist at different events throughout the year. And then you have AHS and John Quincy Adams Society, which are both organizations that are focused around foreign policy and discussion groups on that. They bring in different speakers along with run some book clubs and different events like that. And then just about any career club under the sun. You're going to have nonprofit groups. You're going to have the Ready Room, which focuses on intelligence, and then just quite a few different organizations there. And we can go to the next slide, Catherine. Thank you. I'll go quickly and then let Tatiana talk to you about her experience. So we have both the national security side, and then we have the international development side. So NS&D and then IDEP. So for me, I'm on the NS&D side. But the nice thing about that is that I'm very flexible with my concentrations. And so I have conflict and development along with US Africa affairs, so kind of more on the diplomacy side. And then I have a little bit of an emphasis on military policy. But basically, I mean, kind of my pitch for the Bush School is it's really a flexible degree. It's something that, you're able to get a lot out of it and kind of pick the area you go. Since we have a little larger of a normal grad school cohort, we have a lot more availability on professors and different tracks to kind of follow there. And so I think that whenever you look at the Bush School compared to other places, you're going to see a lot more practitioners. So people that have been in the field, seen the work that's being done. That's very important. This last summer, I actually got to go to France and start the process of learning French. And so that was kind of like my summer immersion there, and taking full-time lessons to kind of get that basis going and make myself more competitive for jobs. And then outside of that, I mean, you're surrounded by people that want to go do government work, nonprofit work, something that really helps benefit either the US or the country that the students are coming from. And so it's really a good opportunity, just to be surrounded by a lot of like-minded individuals. I'll say a spread of ideological views, but very much people that want to go in, help others, and serve their respective country. And then I'll wait to give my advice, and I'll go to let Tatiana kind of share some of her experiences.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tatiana Rocavado. I'm from Bolivia. I'm a second year MIA student. I'm in the IDEB track. As a Stockton, I would say that my experience in the Bush School has been pretty good. I'm part of SGA. I'm the vice president of SGA. And I think it's a good organization to kind of make friends and just be involved in leadership, but also student associations. Regarding my experience as a student, I think I really appreciate the fact that you have teachers like they're really good. For example, you have the former USA head there that is teaching you his experience as when he was dealing with famines and civil wars and different types of struggles in different countries. But you also have first level class professors that will teach you not only the theory, but also how to make it on the field. I was able with my Bush School experience to come back to my country during the summer. And I have been working as a director of community outreach, managing grant projects of lithium companies of the United States. So I think like the mix and the equilibrium of classes that you can take is really good. For example, now I'm taking classes in the agriculture faculty. And as you know, I mean, we're Aggie, so having the possibility to take some classes in development and agriculture, I think it's amazing. I really encourage you to apply. I mean, the flexibility that you have with the classes and how open is the people to kind of give you advice on all the different activities that the school is doing to welcoming just not the international students, but also the national students is really gonna help you in the field. You're gonna connect with a lot of people with different backgrounds. But the nice call or the nice point of the Bush School is like most of us want to serve our governments. So they are like Stockton say, like we're very committed with serve other people. And I think that makes the Bush School different to other schools. And in addition, I would say like if you have any struggle or problem, you will have always someone that is going to help you. I mean, independently of the field. And I can say that I have other friends that are in other cities. They don't have that one-to-one experience that I really appreciate in the Bush School. So if you want to apply, I think I would say that it's one of the best options in your life. Don't be worried about the tracks because as Stockton say, it's pretty flexible. So as long as you see what you like, I think you can build your track and you can have a good experience, not only learning, but also kind of seeing in real life how the project has been managed and be part of the projects too.
Thank you, Tatiana. Just a little piece of advice for all of you. I think one of the biggest areas that you can really strengthen your application is making sure that you're specializing that application to each university you apply to. So this is, broad advice for any master's program you're applying to right now, but especially at the Bush School, we really like to see, have you done your research about us? Is there, certain faculty members or classes that interest you and will make you a good fit. Because we want to make sure, of course, the interview process is to make sure, you're a good fit for us. But we also want to make sure that we're a good fit for you. And so really going through this process, do your research, go on our website, dig around, just kind of see the different areas we have at our school, and make sure to mention that in your application. I think that it's really important to kind of know where you're going. And also we want to see that you have, aspiring hopes to enter somewhere in public service. That doesn't have to mean government work. It doesn't have to mean nonprofit work, but it just has to, we want to see that you're going to help preserve the legacy of our namesake, and that you're pursuing an area where you can help people in the future. And so that really would be my piece of advice there. And Catherine, I'll go ahead and hand it over to you.
Thank you. I didn't know if there's other comments about, I know at least with Stockton, you had chosen to do a language immersion instead of the internship. You want to just cover that really quick about that choice? Maybe
Yeah.
Tatiana can hit that for a second.
Yeah. So on the IA side, the MIA side, you get the option to either do an internship or a language immersion. If you have 5+ years of work experience, you can generally get that waived. But for me personally, I've had international development experience. I've had domestic policy making experience. And so whenever I talked with some of my faculty members about, wanting to pursue a job at USAID or the State Department, the advice that I was given was, you need to learn French, basically, because I'm hoping to work in Africa. And so having that practitioner standpoint especially was helpful in that, because they let me know, hey, an extra 2 months of work experience might not be that helpful, but if you can really start building on those language skills, that's going to possibly make your resume stand out, because they are the people that have hired for that before. And so I think, kind of having that option there to do either or is definitely helpful.
Well, in my case, as Stockton said, like I have more than 5 years of experience. So I decided to have I would say like a hybrid, because it was like an internship, but actually it was a work position, because I could have waived my internship, but I decided to keep my job and present my summer job as my internship. So I decided to do it because in my case, I have a Fulbright scholarship. So I have to come back to my country after I finish school. And the whole point about having this scholarship is to go and serve my country. And as Stockton said, it's not necessarily going to my government, but also kind of helping the people in my country. So I decided to pick a job where I was working with Indigenous women in my country. And actually, I was applying all the concepts that I learned in the concentration of women, peace, and security. So it depends on you, but I think the options are diverse. But in my case, I got the opportunity to have a full paid job with an American company that was very interested on my profile. So that was my option. I was not doing the language immersion because I already have one, and you can waive that requirement. But if you want to learn an additional language, you are more than encouraged to do it. For example, if I would like to do German, I could do it. So that is a good option that also the students of the Bush School have.
Great. Thank you guys both so much. And the benefits of having our students come in here is actually going to be prevalent on another webinar that we'll offer at the end of the month. And I'm going to have that in just a second and show you when that is offered. Just know that at any time you can research us online. Here are the websites for both the Bush School and Texas A&M. If you have general questions, the Bush School admissions at tamu.edu comes to me, and I'll be happy to take care of those. If you've got some specific questions I wasn't able to answer, or you didn't feel comfortable dropping them in the chat. And then online certificate, if you're looking for those options, you can reach them at Bush School Online. Lastly, we do have more upcoming events. I have one tomorrow that covers the MIP and our DC location degrees. They've got a national security and intelligence and their own MIP there. The students will come on and they're going to host the webinar on Tuesday, the September 27th. So if you didn't already sign up for that, you can email me and I can move you to that. I'll cover admissions in a lot of detail with Ashley about letters of rec and all kinds of very specific pieces. Matt's going to come in on Career Services Day and talk on October the 19th. And then I'll give a great overview of financial aid at the graduate level and how to qualify and what to look for and how our scholarships work. More on Thursday, the November the 10th. I will also plug, we've got a Zoom Q&A hour on Friday of this week at 11 a.m. So be sure that you attend that if you've got some questions and just want to drop in for either Stockton or myself. We do those about every 1 to 2 weeks, and they're on the calendar on our website under admissions. And then I also have some on-campus open houses for those of that you find yourself in College Station, and those are offered once a month on Fridays from 1 to 3. So all this is found on the website. I do know I don't have time for a lot more questions, but I will just say there's an application fee waiver has been asked by a number of students, both on this webinar and some others. And unfortunately, we don't have application fee waivers unless you are qualified under one of the organizations that we have contracts with. Because essentially what's happening is I have to pay Texas A&M for these out of my budget, and I've already put aside several thousands to cover that, and I can't cover everyone who asks me. So we just don't have those for international applicants unless you qualify for some organization that's listed on our website. Okay, so that's all the time I have to answer. Be sure you email me at Bush School Admissions if there's something else I can cover. Thank you guys for joining us. I hope to see some of you on the future webinars. You guys have a great rest of your afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and we hope to see you later. Thanks.